You see it again. On the clock, on receipts, on license plates, on random timestamps, emails, phone numbers. 1111. It follows you, like a shadow made of numbers, like a whisper from somewhere else. At first, it felt like a coincidence. Then, it kept happening. And deep down, you already know. It's not random. There's a reason your eyes find it. There's a reason your attention locks in when it appears, because something is trying to reach you through the most ancient language there is, pattern. This is not superstition, not numerology for entertainment, not some internet myth gone viral. This is alignment. This is synchronicity. This is your reality bending to show you a reflection of your own awakening. And the number it chose is 1111. You see, numbers are more than quantities. They are frequencies. They carry codes, just like DNA. And certain combinations act like activation keys. 1111 is not a message. It's about doorway. And when it starts appearing in your life over and over, it means something is trying to open. But the question is, are you ready to step through it? Because what waits on the other side isn't more information, it's transformation. There are over 10,000 moments in a single day when you glance at something, a phone, a clock, a receipt, but somehow your eyes land on again and again, not once, not twice, over and over, until you start asking, why me? Why this? Why now? Because it's not happening to everyone. Not everyone sees it. Not everyone feels it. This is your second sign. You've become sensitive to the shift. 1111 doesn't appear to you. It appears because of you. Because your frequency, your field, has started to match something just beyond the veil. Most people sleep through these patterns. They shrug it off. They laugh it off. They scroll it off. But you didn't. You noticed. You paused. You felt the wow pull. That means you've started to tune into the real game being played underneath life as usual. The appearance of 1111 is not a lucky charm. It's a signal that your consciousness is becoming magnetic. You're beginning to attract clarity, attract truth, attract the very messages your soul wrote for you before you even arrived in this body. You've probably felt other shifts too. Your tolerance for fake energy dropping, your hunger for meaning increasing, your relationships cracking open, your sleep getting weirder, your sense of normal feeling more and more insane. These aren't breakdowns, they're realignments. Because the moment you start noticing synchronicities, the universe starts using them to speak louder. And once it knows you're listening, it doesn't stop. Let's get real. If 1111 is a signal, who's sending it? Your mind may say, is it the universe? My higher self? Angels? Aliens? God? And the answer is simple. Yes. Because once you step out of the small self, the limited identity of me, here, now, you realize that all of those voices are one. They're all you, at different layers of awareness. The part of you that lives outside time is trying to wake up the part of you stuck inside it. Think of 1111 as a transmission point, a soft ping from the field you came from, a breadcrumb on the trail back to remembrance. You are not being contacted by something foreign. You're being contacted by something familiar, something that's been waiting for you to look up, to notice, to finally respond. And what is it trying to say? Not a sentence, not a prophecy, not a rule, just this: you are more. More than flesh, more than thought, more than story, more than you were told. Every time you see 1111, it's not asking you to believe, it's asking you to remember. It's not about superstition, it's about resonance. Because only a frequency that already lives in you can draw your attention again and again and again. There are thousands of signals out there, but this one, this sacred, symmetrical, coded shape, is the one that your field keeps tuning into. Why? Because it matches your awakening blueprint. Because it's embedded in your design. Because you agreed long before this lifetime that when this number starts showing up, it's time to wake up. When 1111 becomes a portal, there's a moment, maybe you've already had it, when 1111 stops being just a number you notice and becomes something you feel. It doesn't just flash on the clock, it lands in your chest. Your body responds, your skin chill, your breath halt. You don't know why, but it feels like something just opened. That's because it did. You see, the repetition of 1111 isn't a message you're receiving. It's a mirror you're entering. Every time you see it and pause, even for a second, you're slipping out of the script, out of the autopilot, out of the noise. You are stepping into the space between moments, and that's where creation happens. Not in the past, not in the future, right there, in the stillness that 1111 reveals. The ancient mystics knew this. They spoke in symbols and geometry. They understood that portals are not doors in walls. They're doors in awareness. And the key is attention. 1111 pulls your attention out of the matrix and drops it into now, the real now, the one that bends time, the one where thought becomes matter, where belief becomes architecture. Every time you see it, you're being asked, what are you choosing? Are you thinking the thoughts you were programmed to think? Or are you tuning in to something higher? Because the portal only opens for a moment, and if you're not present, it closes again. But if you are, you can shift timelines. You can receive insight. You can remember who you were before the forgetting. And most importantly, you can create reality from intention, not reaction. This is the secret. 1111 is not about what you're seeing. It's about what you're being when you see it. Part 6. Using the code. turning sight into power. It's one thing to notice 1111. It's another thing to use it. Because what good is a key if you never open the door? Here's the secret no one tells you. Every time you see 1111, it's an invitation, but it's also a test. Not a test of belief, a test of presence. In that flash of recognition, you're not just being reminded, you're being offered choice. Do you continue on autopilot? Do you repeat the old reaction? Or do you pause, even for 3 seconds, and redirect the script? Because when you do that, you're hacking the system. You're breaking the loop. You're planting new code into the moment. And that changes everything. Try this. Next time you see 1111, don't just think, "Oh, cool." Stop. Drop into silence. Feel what you're thinking. Feel what you're becoming. And ask yourself, what am I aligned with right now? Fear or trust? Control or surrender? Illusion or truth? Because 1111 doesn't give you power. It reveals that you already had it. It's a checkpoint, a signal flare, a crack in the simulation where your soul can slide in and override the code. Every moment you act from presence, you shift trajectory, and the more you use those moments, the more they'll multiply. The universe starts talking louder, the veil gets thinner, the path gets clearer, but only for those who answer. This isn't a game of knowledge, it's a game of frequency. And 1111 is the moment you get to choose your station, not just what you look at, but what you broadcast. Part 7. Why most people never see it. Let's be clear. 1111 isn't rare. It's everywhere. It shows up for everyone, but only a few notice, and even fewer feel it. So what separates them? Awareness, not intelligence, not belief, not luck, just awareness. Most people are running code they didn't write. Programs passed down from generations, systems, fears, screens. They're moving fast, too fast to pause, too busy surviving to question reality. And when 1111 flashes across their screen, they scroll right past it. To them, it's just 4 ones. But for you, it's a pulse, a ping, a sacred anomaly. Because something inside you isn't hypnotized anymore. You started asking, why am I here? What is this place? Who was I before the world told me who to be? And that questioning changed your frequency. That frequency changed your perception. And that perception? It cracked open the door. Now you're seeing what others miss. You're reading between the numbers. You're listening to the silence behind the patterns. You're feeling the pull. That's not an accident. That's a response. A response to your soul reaching beyond the veil and finding a signal that knows your name. The truth is, you didn't start noticing 1111. It started noticing you. Because your field lit up. Your timeline trembled. Your consciousness rose just high enough to ping back. You became receptive. And once that happens, the entire game changes. Messages from the parallel. You. What if the signal isn't just from the universe? What if it's from you? But not this version of you. A version that made a different choice, took a different path, became what you were always capable of, but haven't yet stepped into. You see, in quantum thought, every choice creates a split, a branch, a new thread in the multiverse. And somewhere along those threads, there's a version of you who is fully awakened, clear, aligned, remembered. And when you start tuning into 1111, there's a theory that it's them calling, not to warn you, not to save you, but to remind you that you're already it, that the you who lives in purpose, flow, power, they're not a fantasy. They're not someday. They're real. And they're already broadcasting across time and dimension. 1111 is their signal. It's a kind of time loop echo, a vibration that says, "Hey, we made it. Don't give up. You're on the path. This version of you is real, and you're getting closer." And the more you listen, the more you close the gap between who you are and who you remember being. The wall between timelines becomes a window. The window becomes a mirror. The mirror becomes a doorway. And eventually, you walk through. That's what makes 1111 so powerful. It doesn't just remind you that the universe is speaking. It reminds you that you've already answered. Somewhere, in some version of you, the shift has already happened. And now it's rippling back to help you catch up. Because you are not just following guidance. You are following a version of yourself who already remembers how this ends. In light, in clarity, in return. When the numbers choose their moment. Have you noticed? 1111 doesn't show up just anywhere. It appears when you're about to decide, when you're lost, when you're doubting something that feels right but looks wrong, right before a leap, right before a breakdown, right before you walk away from a version of yourself that's outlived its purpose. This is not coincidence. This is timing. You think you're just seeing a number, but that number is seeing you. It's watching for the cracks in your certainty and slipping in through the doubt, through the ache, through the breath you hold when you're not sure who you are anymore. And when you see it at those exact moments, it's not just confirmation, it's activation. 1111 is not there to say, "Good job." It's there to say, "This is the choice point." Reality is listening. You are the author now. Write wisely. Because in that instant, your energy is louder than your words. Your thoughts are coding the scene. Your alignment is shaping what happens next. Most people live their entire lives unconscious of these forks in the road. They call it fate. They call it luck. But it was always them, choosing from an outdated version of themselves. You're being interrupted. Gently, repeatedly, until you stop choosing from fear and start creating from frequency. That's why 1111 shows up when it does, not randomly, not casually, but with surgical precision to crack your routine and ask, do you want to repeat this loop or rewrite the code? Because once you're aware, once you see the mechanism, you're no longer a passenger. You become the designer. The loop ends here, if you choose it. Part 10. When 1111 becomes your private language. There's a point where 1111 stops surprising you. Not because it's lost meaning, but because it's become familiar. It's not just a sign anymore. It's a conversation, a private dialogue between you and the field. between your soul and the structure of reality, between the silent intelligence within you and the divine architecture all around you. You'll be walking, lost in thought, and there it is. 1111, not to startle you, but to greet you, like an old friend showing up exactly when you need to remember. You're still on the path. You're not crazy. You're awake. Reality is bending to your alignment. Keep going. And it doesn't end there. You start seeing patterns in other ways, dreams syncing with reality, songs answering your questions, strangers finishing thoughts you never said aloud. This is what happens when you step through the number. The universe drops its disguise. You realize everything was always alive, always listening, always responding. But until your awareness reached a certain threshold, you couldn't hear it. Now, you can't unhear it. Now the number isn't the message. You are. Because your choices, your energy, your alignment, they ripple outward like signals. And the universe, it echoes back. You see, the real reason 1111 follows you is because you answered the call. And once you do that, once you show up fully, consistently, consciously, reality begins to speak your language, not someone else's script, not ancient texts, not borrowed truths. Your truth, your code, your divine signature, mirrored back in form. 1111 becomes more than a sign. It becomes a signature, a mark you leave on the universe every time you remember who you really are. Part 11. The number you chose before you were born. This will sound strange, but part of you already knows it's true. You chose this number before this body, before this name, before you opened your eyes in this life. You set markers, codes, not to remember your favorite color or your birth date or what you were supposed to do, but to remember who you are when the world makes you forget. And 1111 was one of those codes. Why? Because it cuts through noise. It bypasses logic. It pierces through distraction and lands directly in the nervous system. It's symmetrical. It's clean. It's impossible to unsee once you see it. You programmed it into your journey. A breadcrumb, a soft alarm. You knew you'd fall asleep in this place. You knew the veil would be thick. You knew the world would offer you an identity, and you might wear it too well. So you gave yourself a signal, not loud, not terrifying, but persistent. 1111. You made a deal with your future self. When I forget, send it. When I doubt, send it. When I fall asleep, flash it. And when I see it, I'll know it's time. Time to wake up. Time to return. Time to become the version of me that remembers why I came here. So every time it shows up now, don't ask, what does it mean? Ask, what did I mean by this? Because the answer lives inside you, always has. You didn't stumble onto this number. You sent it to yourself as a code to crack and a life to realign. This isn't coincidence, it's design, and it's unfolding exactly as you planned. Part 12. What you do after you see it. Let's be honest. Seeing, 1111 feels amazing. It feels like magic. It feels like the universe just winked at you. But if you stop there, you miss the point. Because 1111 is not the reward. It's the responsibility. It means the training wheels are off. You're no longer allowed to sleepwalk through your timeline. You've been called into conscious creation. So what do you do now? You listen, not to others, not to noise, but to the stillness that lives under your skin. You follow what feels magnetic, not what feels expected. You simplify, you detach, you question everything that never made sense, but you went along with anyway. Because now you know, alignment isn't optional. It's survival for the soul. You begin rewriting your life like code. Not I should, but I choose. Not what will they think, but what sets me on fire. You stop outsourcing truth. You start embodying it, and you begin to trust the voice that 1111 reawakened in you. You'll lose some things. Old identities, outgrown friendships, comfort zones that were really cages. But what comes in return? Clarity. Moments that feel scripted by something bigger. People who speak your soul's language. Synchronicities that hit so hard they bring you to tears. And that's when you realize you were never chasing signs. You were becoming one. 1111 is not something the universe does to you. It's something it does through you. Now your choices ripple out like frequencies. Now your presence bends time. Now your reality isn't built by accident, but by awareness. This is where the real work begins. Not flashy, not loud, but honest, raw, aligned. You've seen the number. You've heard the call. Now the question is simple. Can you live like someone who remembers? Something changes the moment you stop chasing 1111 and start aligning with it. It's not just internal, it's external. You feel it first in small things. A sudden sense of calm in a place that used to trigger you. A door opening when it was always locked. A conversation that feels like a memory from the future. Your life begins to restructure itself, not because you forced it, but because you stopped vibrating from fear. And fear is what kept the old grid intact. As that grid collapses, something strange begins to happen. People drop out of your life, as if erased. Opportunities appear that feel scripted just for you. Time bends, days stretch, hours collapse, and deja vu becomes a weekly event. Synchronicities stack on top of each other until they feel like choreography. And here's the wild part. You'll start realizing you're not the only one seeing 1111 anymore. You'll attract others who've been pulled by the same code, the same call, the same pull beyond the surface. It's like you all remembered at once, and suddenly you're building a new world with people who speak your soul's language, not because of luck, but because your resonance changed, and resonance reconfigures reality. This is what happens when you stop asking for signs and start living like the sign. You stop reacting, you start emitting. Your presence becomes precise. Your words shift outcomes. Your attention creates architecture. You don't just manifest anymore, you magnetize. You walk into rooms differently. You make decisions differently. You feel time differently. And this is the real power of 1111. Not what it gives you, but what it unlocks in you. A self who no longer waits for meaning, but generates it. Part 14. Becoming the Code. There's a point on this journey, not marked by fireworks or ceremony, but by silence. Deep, unshakable silence. It's the moment you realize you no longer look for 1111, because you've become what it was always pointing to. You are no longer the seeker. You are the signal. You are the frequency. You are the open gate. What once appeared outside of you now pulses from within you, and something beautiful happens. You stop needing proof. You stop asking for signs, because your entire existence becomes a conversation with Source. Your life moves like a dance, led by intuition, timed by energy, choreographed by memory older than this lifetime. You speak less, but say more. You do less, but create more. You plan less, but arrive exactly where you were meant to be, right on time. People ask you how. How do you always know what to do? How do you always land on your feet? How do you navigate so much unknown with so much peace? And you don't have a formula, because there isn't one. There's just a rhythm, a pulse, a feeling. And it started the day 1111 found you, not because it gave you something you lacked, but because it reminded you of what you always were. You are the portal. You are the pattern. You are the message. You don't follow signs. You leave them. For others. For your future self. For the version of you still on the edge of remembering. You walk through reality like a living activation. Not louder, not better, just awake. And everywhere you go, life bends to meet you, because you no longer ask reality for permission. You co-author it. Part 15. You are the awakening. This isn't about numbers anymore. It never really was. 1111 was just the knock on the door, the first crack in the dream, the flicker of light through the keyhole of your forgetting. But the truth, the real truth, you are the awakening. The sign you waited for was always you. The pulse behind 1111, the energy behind the patterns, the intelligence behind the synchronicity. It's your own soul, in perfect timing, pulling you back into your original frequency. And look at you now, watching this, feeling this, knowing deep down that none of it was random. Every time you saw 1111, you weren't just being guided, you were guiding yourself from a higher place, from a future that already remembers, from a version of you who has already come home. So now the question is not, why do I see it? What does it mean? Is this real? The question is, what will I do with it now? Because if you forget again, it'll show up. If you doubt again, it'll show up. If you lose yourself in the noise, it'll show up. Not to scold you, not to fix you, but to remind you, you came here for more. You are part of something ancient, unfolding. You carry the code, and no matter how lost you feel, how small, how overwhelmed by the density of this world, the light always finds itself, and it just did. So breathe, anchor, step forward. You're not just seeing the sign, you are becoming the signal. Now let the world feel your frequency.